The cast, band, crew, and all involved in Intertwined acknowledge the traditional owners of this land and custodians of culture on which we gather, perform and live, the Wiradjuri people. We pay our deepest respects to elders past, present and emerging. We thank the storytellers and families from Erambie and Cowra who have so generously shared their words with us all. These stories on stage are an amalgamation of many words told by many different people over years of yarning. We also wish to thank and acknowledge the tireless efforts of the Cowra Breakout Association and all involved in preserving the legacy of peace. At this time of remembering the 80th anniversary of the Cowra POW Breakout, we share these stories in the hope of an even brighter tomorrow for a more unified community and reconciled nation, lest we forget.
We're going to Cowra. I thought you said Nowra. Seriously, Dad, that's bad. You said what? I could learn a lot. What, in Cowra? Oh, Dad. No beach, just pubs. Do they even have Wi-Fi for the love of all that is young like me? Take a trip to this town, 300 k's from Sydney. Some holiday this will be. Cowra, what's so special about you? Cowra, can you teach me a thing or two?
44, I caught a train. No idea where I was going, sent to Cowra. So much pain lay in front of me. I took a trip to this town, 180 miles from Sydney. No holiday this turned out to be. Cowra, what's so special about you? Cowra, can you teach me a thing or two?
Hear the wind through the trees, calls my name on the breeze. Feel the sun on my skin, reviving me. Outside in river bends, water flows, families here, fire glows, grasses sway, grounded here, connection sends away fear.
Cowra, what's so special about you? Cowra, can you teach me a thing or two? Speaking of two, it's 2 o'clock. And what time does it start to rock around here? And do you have Uber Eats?
It's quiet now, but quieter then. 44 in Cowra, except in the camp when I walked on those streets. Cowra, what's so special about you? Cowra, can you teach me a thing or two?
There are stories to be told.
Lives gone before us,
There are lessons to be learned.
lives lived among us,
There is wisdom to be heard.
lives lived within us.
When we listen to their words, there are
Cowra,
stories to
what's
be
so
told.
special about you?
Lessons to be learned. There is
Cowra,
wisdom
can
to be
you
heard.
teach me a thing or
When we
two?
listen to their words.
Stories.
film's coming. Yes, Dad, I have my journal assignment. Yeah, I already said I'll write in it. Now I've got to watch some video about some old dude from like 40 years ago. Entry number 1. Write about yourself. I've been learning about the Cowra POW breakout in school. So apparently, Dad thought it would be a good idea to come for a road trip here to see it. I couldn't tell him I've kind of been looking forward to getting away. So instead, I'd just say, "Ew, Dad, a whole weekend away with you?" I had other plans this ANZAC long weekend, but that doesn't seem to matter to him. How do I start this stupid video?
Okay, the tape is rolling now. Today's date is the 25th of the 4th, 1988. Thank you for agreeing to be interviewed for the oral history section of the State Library. Will you please state your name and date of birth for the record?
It's not a problem. ANZAC Day is important to me. It's a time to stop and reflect. Now, my name is William John Smith. I was born the 10th of January 1920. You can call me Billy. Now, I know it's ANZAC Day, and I wasn't a soldier in Gallipoli, but I did serve on the night of the largest prisoner of war breakout in known history. ANZAC Day is a time to stop and remember, isn't it? Well, that POW breakout, that happened right here in Cowra, lest we forget.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this video being done. Thanks for coming and filming our story.
Yeah, no worries.
The young ones are saying they'll be famous when they get to watch this back on YouTube. It's 2024 and I love that our stories are still being shared. I grew up on Erambie Mission here in Cowra. It was such a good community to grow up in.
I look normal, don't I? But I don't really feel that. Honestly, right now, I'm still trying to figure out who I am. Oh, don't write that, that's dumb.
Fighting for your country, something should be a given, not an option. Well, things were black and white for me. So much easier back then. Not too many bloody do-gooders these days.
So we're going to record you singing a few songs about growing up at Erambie. You look nervous. Just relax into this. We want to see the proud black man in you coming through, okay?
Well, funny you say that, because my elders were raised at a time when being a proud black man was a bit of a contradiction, to be honest. It was hard to be black and proud. In some ways, it still is.
This history is a mystery. Shall we hide our face in disgrace? Shall we ignore what happened before? Or shall we stop for a moment to reflect and pause? This history is a mystery. Shall we hide our face in disgrace? Shall we ignore what happened before? Or shall we stop for a moment to reflect and pause?
Shall
This history is a mystery. Shall we hide our face in disgrace? Shall we ignore what happened before? Or shall we stop for a moment to reflect and pause? This history is a mystery. Shall we hide our face in disgrace? Shall we ignore what happened before? Or shall we stop for a moment to reflect and pause? This history is a mystery. Shall we hide our face in disgrace? Shall we ignore what happened before?
Or shall we stop for a moment to reflect and pause? So I've come here to Cowra.
Where I was stationed in 44.
We're staying at the caravan park, just down by the Lachlan River.
Galari Lachlan River. It's our life. Water means so much to our people. Could always follow it home. It's the one thing I miss living in the big smoke.
So far, what I've learned about the breakout is that
It was a time of war. It was a time where fighting for your country, that meant everything. It was the right thing to do. It was a time when us Aussies stuck together.
Unless you were a black fella.
It's actually really lovely out here. It's my first time visiting.
Now, my first trip to Cowra was on the 14th of June, 1944. I'd served our forces in New Guinea. Now, I'd done my time, and I came back to Australia looking forward to spending a few weeks with the missus. The love of my life she was. But then I got that bloody telegram. Now, I had to report to the number 12 camp, help out in the B compound. And we jumped on a train in Sydney, and they said to us, "You're heading to Cowra." And I thought, where the bloody hell is Cowra? I've never heard of it.
Cowra, born and bred, Erambie Mission, 32 acres. All my life our mob lived here, but all they ever knew of it was all they was allowed to see back then.
The people here seem okay.
Oh yeah, the Cowra locals, they're a lovely lot. Now inside the camp we had a fair mix. Now let's see, we had the Italian and the Jap soldiers. Actually we had a heap of different Asians. Now, the Italians, they were a pretty happy group, easy to get along with. They used to spend a bit of time out on farms, some of them. They loved using their hands, gardening, planting veggies, made a water fountain, things out of wood, like chessboards. Oh yeah, this stool here. Yeah, I got to know quite a few of those blokes actually, lovely fellas. Now the Japanese, they were a little bit different. It was hard to know what they were thinking. See, they spent a lot of time to themselves, and most of them, well, they wouldn't answer their own names. They rarely wrote letters home. They're very serious soldiers. I'd watch them, and they seemed comfortable enough with each other, just a little bit sad, frustrated. Oh, I don't know. It was none of my business. It was my job to watch them.
Our elders, that was always being watched. Remember times when I was a kid, how they'd tell us the police would come here all the time and take anyone they wanted. If they seen anyone drunk, they'd pick him up, put him in the car and take him straight to jail. One time, down the end house here, 2 or 3 carloads of police rocked up and just trashed things, just over picking up a few blokes. That was just one of their ways of coming up here and taking blacks off their place. Police used to arrest a lot for anything downtown. Well, if anything was broken into over the weekend, the black kids, my nan and pop, they were the ones to be blamed. Admittedly, they did do some stupid things. Some of them regret it now, you know, what they did.
Okay, I'll admit. Whatever. Dad brought me here to get me away from my friends I've been going out with. We were caught drinking at a party last weekend and Dad made this big deal, like it's just a bit of alcohol.
Alcohol, ha! Now we cottoned on that those Japs were making some of that Jap wine. Sake, I think they call it. Some kind of grog. Pretty cluey what they were doing though, making it out of old potato peels or something. They definitely had grog though. You could tell from all the bloody noise in the parties they were having in the barracks. Tell you what though, those dorms were absolutely spotless when I did those inspections.
Inspections by the manager's wife happened all the time back in those days. She'd come around with a little book and write down if your house was clean. Well, if it wasn't, she'd be telling you, you better get those cleaned up, scrubbed up. She'd go through every room, run her fingers along your cupboards to check, see if there was any dust. Tons of times they went on in this place. Nan told me that. Bloody inspections.
Dad inspected my phone. He said if I keep on partying, he's going to send me to live with my grandparents. I was like, what is this, 1950? I've heard about housewives back then having to look after kids and live on rations. Good one, Dad. No, thanks.
We officers had rations. Now, for us, we had sugar, tea, jam, butter, meat. We were pretty well looked after. Oh, the Japs were too. They had plenty of rice. Now, a few of the Japanese leaders, they went to some of the Aussie blokes above me. They were finding the food a bit too oily, see. So they asked to have it served raw, like they did back home. Now, some of the Japs captured up in New Guinea, they were half starved up there. Came here to Cowra, we had to ration their food so they wouldn't overeat it. I'll tell you what though, I don't miss living on rations.
Out on the mish, they had tickets, Nan said. With that ticket, there was no money involved. So you'd have to go down the shops in town and get the equivalent of that ticket in groceries. When they had any luxuries like jam or durries. See, the managers, they'd dish out the basics. Flour, sugar, tea from sacks and little brown paper bags. See, the managers, they managed everything. Your rations, your curfew, and your movements. Nan said that the bread used to be delivered to the manager's house, and you'd have to go and pick that up on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
When I make it to Friday, I can finally breathe. Week's over. Can't wait until I'm done. School just seems like a place I go to get judged. That's why weekends are so good. I don't have to worry about making people like me. I have friends, but I'm never really myself around them. Fake it till you make it, I guess. Sometimes it's like I'm surrounded by heaps of people, but they don't really get to see me for me. You know, it's kind of lonely.
Loneliness. That was something I struggled with a lot. Well, most of us blokes did. See, we were far from home. And maybe it's because we weren't in battle that we got bored sometimes by the life in the camp. See, the Italians, now they got a bit of a change of scenery, see, when they went off and worked on the farms. The Japanese weren't required to do much work. They'd spend a bit of time playing sport.
I can tell you this for nothing. Ain't nothing lonelier than the feeling of being taken away from your family and not knowing if or when you'd ever see them again. Nan and Pop said that. It happened to them. But growing up was always together. Erambie life was community life. There were yarns to listen to, footy games, skipping games. We'd go swimming down the river together. Take us away from each other. And that's when the real loneliness comes in.
I reckon loneliness, it must have plagued those Japanese soldiers. Now, I heard someone say once that a captured Japanese soldier was a disgrace to his emperor. Now, these blokes were so far away from home, but they still didn't want to disgrace their families. So much shame for them back then. It serves them bloody right for being on the wrong side.
Dad says I should be ashamed of myself for the way I've been acting lately. Like, calm down, Dad. Ashamed's a bit harsh.
Shame to us, Mob, was if you got caught speaking a Wiradjuri language back in the day. Mum, Dad, Nan and Pop, they talked in it, but not us kids. They chased us off sometimes because we were just too ashamed to speak it. But things feel different. Some of us, we're learning it again. Some even for the first time. Even kids in local schools are learning it. How cool's that?
Now, we were given some language books to understand those bloody Italians a bit better. Different phrases and things. So I was mentioning earlier that they love to use their hands. Well, they do it talking. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, those books were given to the farmers that took in the PWIs. Now, that's what we call the Italian prisoners of war. And they had some local language classes in Cowra here too, which was good. But that was just to teach the Italians to speak English. Now the Japs, they're a different story. See, they didn't speak so much. And they had less contact with the public, see?
Yes, Dad, I am writing my assignment. Ugh, you're so annoying. Saying I need to be on my phone less, but here he is, always messaging me on it. Hypocrite, doesn't he remember what it's like to be young?
Oh, to be young again. Now, that's something I wish I could be. Although, as a soldier, I might have been a little bit immature. I hadn't seen much in the way of death and things. I remember one time, I had to go up to the hospital. This was way before the breakout. See, there was this Japanese bloke who deliberately tried to hurt himself. And well, they had to call me in because he was giving one of the local nurses a hard time. Do you understand? He deliberately tried to hurt himself just to escape the shame of being a captured prisoner of war. Now, this nurse, she was just trying to be friendly. She even brought him some Patterson's cursed flowers, put him in a glass vase by his bed. She was just trying to help, but he wouldn't have a bar of it. Staunch, stoic, stubborn. I don't know what you'd call it. It wasn't just the odd Jap who was like this. It seemed like it was in all of them. Well, almost all of them. Something ingrained in their culture from a very early age. Die hard, you'd call it today. Was it part of their identity?
What the actual heck? Apparently, someone set up an Instagram account under my identity?
Now, the Japanese completely hid their identity from us because they didn't want the shame of their capture to be brought upon their families back home. That's a different level of respect than we have here.
Identity? You always grapple with identity. Some say you're too black. You're trying to pretend you're white. Some say I shouldn't sing white men's songs. You all like to put each other into boxes, eh? See, back in the day, some of the old fellas here got certificates, exemptions they called them. You'd sign a piece of paper to say that you wouldn't practice blackfella ways. You'd be treated a little bit more like a gubber. White fella, that is. Wasn't for my elders. No. They stayed at Erambie, proudly. But if you did get that exemption, things would be a little different. Like, your curfew would be different. Nen said that some of the fellas here were under curfew like them POW prisoners over the other side of town. She'd never broken no law.
Curfew, well, lights out, 10 p.m. sharp.
Yeah, so get this. Dad set my curfew now to 10 p.m. and 10:30 on weekends. Yeah, that's what I reckon too. I'm so over this. You really think that could work? I mean, it's worth a try. I have a voice. I just want to be heard. Finally. This whole thing is just so frustrating. He doesn't get it. But this time, I'm gonna stand up for myself.
Who have you come as? You didn't have to get dressed up, you know.
No one. This is what I like to wear.
Oh, okay. Well, a cracker of a storm last night, and there's another one on its way, so let's get this in the can, okay? Can you just sing into that mic in front of... Yep, in front of you. Thank you. All right, and action.
Walking down the street, feeling just fine. Got a million little things running through my mind. Got to make enough dough to pay all the bills. Got to keep close to country, to these here hills. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, there's so much history, so much to learn. Got to know my people, know my place. Sorry, cut. I think we need to rewrite that line. Why? Because saying "got to know my place" is a bit triggering, to be honest. Can we say "got to know my people, celebrate our race" instead? Yeah? Okay, cool. Let's take it from the top. Walking down the street, feeling just fine. Got a million little things running through my mind. Got to make enough dough to pay all the bills. Got to keep close to country, to these here hills. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, there's so much history, so much to learn. Got to know my people, celebrate our race, learn our language. Got to know about place. Sorry. Cut, sorry. I get this is important, but I really feel like you're putting me into a stereotype. You know, not all black kids like hip-hop. Some of us like country or Elvis. Thank you very much. Can't I just be myself? Look, I've been working on this. Can we give it a go? Boys, can you give me 12 bar blue in A, please? 1, 2, 3, 4. Walking down the street, feeling just fine. Got a million little things running through my mind. Gotta make enough dough to pay all the bills. Gotta keep close to country, to these here hills. Everywhere I look, everywhere I turn, there's so much history, so much to learn, yeah. Play that piano song. Look out, man. So, what'd you think?
Honestly, it's not the kind of black image we're going for here.
Sorry? We're all different. No two white fellas are the same. Same as us mob. Can't I just be me?
Of course, just my luck. There's a blackout here. Whole caravan park is out. It's just like, what did Mum used to call that? Oh yeah, Murphy's Law. Mum used to say lots of stuff like that. She was always around telling me useless stuff, and now she's been gone 2 years. Pancreatic cancer. 25 months it's been, to be exact. And Dad keeps trying so hard, it's painful, and I do too, but it's weird. He was never around and now he's never gone. And she is. Mum was so vibrant. She lit up any room she walked into. Dad's a bit more vanilla, I guess. I remember one time, I used to love just being in Mum's arms or by her side out in our veranda. One time, we was just watching the stars in the sky and Mum was pointing out all different constellations. It was quiet, then out of nowhere, she just popped off. Mum, you're so embarrassing. we laughed and laughed like idiots what I'd give to be with her under the stars. I never used to be afraid of the dark. I don't want to be afraid of it. Hello, can you see me? I'm afraid of the dark. Walking and thinking is what I do these days to mark these moments, these times. Help me make sense of my life. Hello, can you see me? I'm afraid of the dark. Hello, can you hear me? I don't know the words to use. Searching and sinking, why do I have to choose these moments, these times? Help me make sense of my life. Hello, can you hear me? I'm afraid of the dark. The dark has grown inside of me. I try to fight it away. Life is so serious, I've forgotten how to play. I wanna be at peace again. I wanna find my way. I need to hold out for a new day. Oh, hello, can you feel me? Here I am, I'm still here. Holding and waiting, will I disappear in these moments, these times? Help me make sense of my life. Hello, can you see me? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you feel me? Don't wanna be afraid of the dark. Don't wanna be afraid.
Signing up wasn't the hard bit. It was the not knowing. That got me interested, got me in. I was young, didn't know any better. Adventure called when you signed up. That's what they told you anyway. See, after the train ride from Sydney to Cowra, it didn't take too long to get used to the camp conditions. Us and the prisoners, we were given decent food, uniforms, blankets for the beds. You know, at first, I couldn't even look at those Japanese. I'd had mates. They were captured up in the tropics. And they were treated pretty badly by the Japanese. I mean, we just assumed that the prisoners all knew they'd wait in the war, wait in Australia till the war was over. Japs had different plans, didn't they? didn't know so many of them were scared to go home. But I had fears myself, though. Didn't they know they weren't the only ones affected by this bloody war? Well, what options have you got in war anyway? Hide and run, light the flare, sound the gun, be aware, make your peace, say your prayer, bullets fly through the air, peace to seek, history shared, acknowledging what is fair, peace is sought, peace is rare, peace is lived, fight or hide.
Fight for life, fight to win, fight for nation's pride, fight for you, fight for me, fight for your side, fight for country, fight for us, fight to turn the tide, fight for place, fight for peace, fight or hide.
Hide and run, light the flare, sound the gun, be aware, make your peace, say your prayer, bullets fly through the air, peace to seek, history shared, acknowledging what is fair, peace is sought, peace is rare, peace is lived, fight or hide. Stop! Yeah, the fighting and the hiding, yes. But there was more than that. Every day there was fear. Every bloody day.
Fear of what?
Fear of death. Fear of the unknown. And it all coexisted at the same time. The fear and the fight. Fear of life, fear of death, fear of nation's pride, fear of healing, fear of speaking, feeling all alone, fear of fighting, fight for us, not returning home, fear of sadness, fear of madness, fight or hide. Peace to seek, history shared, acknowledging what is fair. Peace is sought, peace is rare, peace is lived, fight or hide.
Hey, here's another thing you can put in this video. I remember being told about an old black fella who saved a heap of white fellas from being flooded in somewhere near here. See, he was camped up by the river and he knew she was going to flood, just by the way them little black ants are moving. He said, "See these things down here, boss?" He was pointing to the ants, see? "You best be moving your stock and people." And that white man, he listened. And his chickens, his stock, and his people, well, that was all safe because of it. But sometimes it's like people don't want to listen to their old wisdom. Not just them white fellas. Even our own kids. Our own kids don't want to listen to our customs and ways. It's like you got to fight hard to hold on to who you are. Like you're caught between two worlds. It's not been easy for me, living in the city, being away from my country, away from my people. But it's not how it is for every black fella. Not every black fella lives on the mish, plays the diz, eats the witchetty grubs. No. We keep our culture inside us. We live it out wherever life takes us.
Compassion trumps fear. Peace is the way.
Peace be with you, peace be for you, peace become your mission now. Peace be near you, peace within you, peace become your mission now.
Kindness trumps fear. Peace be yours this day. Compassion trumps fear. Peace is the way.
Dad took me down to a spot by the Lachlan River and said that he remembered bringing my mum here when I was just a baby. I didn't even know they'd done that. I thought this was my first time in Cowra, but apparently not. There's so much I don't know because Dad won't tell me anything. He's so closed off like a clam. I feel like I can't ask him anything. Every day I wonder what would have happened if Mum was still here. Maybe I'd just be fighting with her instead of with Dad.
I wonder what would have happened if I'd never been sent to Cowra. Reckon I would have been living it up with the best of them. I had dreams, I did. But now,
Nen told me about getting tea leaves in a little brown paper bag from the managers back in them war days. Can't imagine having every little thing dished out like that. I wonder what it would have been like if my elders had the freedom to practice culture, to be able to go into town and not be looked at by the local whitefellas, wondering if we were going to eat them. Don't worry, sis, we ain't cannibals. I wonder what it would have been like if I stayed living in Cowra, if I stayed living in Erambie.
I never really wanted to travel or anything like that, but coming to Cowra is making me think about everything. Maybe I should take a gap year for travelling or get back into dancing. I wonder if maybe Dad and I need to have some time apart.
you know, it's funny how sometimes one little act of kindness can give you something to think about. Like, did you ever hear about the WWII family? Now, they were Cowra locals. They just lived just out of town. After the breakout, there was a few Japanese POWs found on their property. Must have spent the night in the shed or something. Now, Mrs. WWII, she baked them a fresh batch of scones, fresh out of the oven, and served them with a pot of tea on her own veranda. Can you believe that? I don't know if I could have done that, to be honest, but that's a true story.
So grateful for the role models that I had. Mine were men who were strong, men who were courageous, But they were men who were struggling, battling their own demons, just like us. Things they did were often done out of fear or fight. But I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm just saying it's easier to blame men for their actions rather than look at why they were like that in the first place. Do you get what I'm saying?
I wonder what would have happened if I'd never met some of those Japanese. See, they showed me that they were soldiers, just like me. They were men, just like me. I wonder for them what their lives would have been like if they didn't try to break out that night, if they didn't get caught up in a war either. There was this one Japanese bloke I used to watch. He led his men in some exercises each morning. They were a physical kind of calisthenic type of move. It was interesting because he didn't strike me as a leader. By golly, he led those men. So I'd watch him from my quarters while I was having a tea and a smoke. I could see him through the fences. Seemed like a peaceful thing to do. Kihon, I later learned it was called. It's a little bit like Tai Chi. I really struggled with it back then because I thought, how can men look so peaceful? Because so much pain. Then I guess we all did in the war. Well, that was the nature of war, wasn't it? It was hard not being able to speak to each other. Geez, I wish I'd have learnt Japanese. Like, I would have asked him things. Like, I would have loved to have known a bit more about that routine he did every day and why he did it. I think it must have been to bring him peace. I'd have asked about his family back home in Japan and what it was like there. I know it brought me peace, just watching him. I can still remember to this day how that routine went. I'm honest. I was jealous of him. The peace he found just doing those moves. Well, that seemed to get him through the day.
Okay, entry number 2. Write down your biggest regrets. Okay, well, number 1, that I was always snapping at Mum. Number 2, that I didn't spend more time just being with her. And number 3, that I don't dance anymore. I've kind of lost myself a bit. What if I felt more alive? What if I didn't have to try? What if I didn't feel so alone inside?
What if I was born white? What if I didn't have to fight? What if I didn't live in a state of light?
What if I could sit in the sun, never had to raise my gun? What if I could be a young man of fun?
What if her life didn't end?
What does my life offend?
What if he wasn't my foe, but my friend?
What ifs are ways of playing a different game, of wondering if life could go another way? What ifs are ways of not staying the same, of wondering wondering if life could go another way. Yeah. What if I could stand tall, never have to worry at all? What if I didn't have to fear I'd fall?
What if I was seen as a man? People could just understand my connection to my people and land.
What if this world had peace? Would all the fighting cease and all the prisoners be released?
What if I wasn't stuck in one place?
What if it wasn't always about a race?
What if peace could rule in our hearts in this place? What if some ways of playing a different game, of wondering if life could go another way? What if some ways of not staying the same, of wondering if life could go another way? Yeah.
What if we do nothing? It isn't the option here. What if we stand still? It won't disappear. What if we walk instead in the light of peace and light, and not let hatred win this fight? What if some ways of playing a different game, of wondering if life could go another way? What if some ways of not staying the same, of wondering if life could go another way? Yeah.
You are learning about the conflict that happened in Cowra during the Second World War. Think about the biggest conflict in your own life and write down a few lines about it. Every now and then, I get up the courage to ask Dad a bit about Mum. But it almost always ends in a fight because he just says,
Don't ask about it.
After the breakout, I wanted to tell people about what had happened to me, about the Japanese friends I'd made. But I was always told,
Don't talk about it.
Whenever I talk about our nation's past and mention it at a gig or something, I'm told,
Don't mention it.
I found some old photos of Mum recently, and I asked Grandad to tell me a bit about her, like where they were when the photo was taken, but he just said,
Don't drag up the past.
after the war, I sometimes tried to talk about the night of the breakout with my wife, but she'd just say,
Don't live in the past.
whenever I talk about land being first lived on by us blackfellas, I'm always told,
Don't bring up the past.
the feeling I get whenever I try to talk about anything to do with Mum dying is...
It's too upsetting.
ANZAC Day. Brings it all back to me. The war, pain. It's really important, but sometimes
It's really hard.
looking back at photos helps the elders remember things. I love seeing their faces light up whenever they talk about the Erambie All Blacks or the fist fights at the gates for the strongmen. I ask questions, but sometimes they sigh and say,
It's so long ago.
I thought the biggest conflict I had was with Dad, but maybe it's with me. I feel so bad that I didn't give Mum more of my time. You know, I didn't even really listen to her all that much. Why is life so short? What's this? That's Dad's handwriting. It's to me. Hey, sweetheart. You know I'm hopeless with saying things in person, so I'm writing my thoughts down instead. I brought you here to Cowra to get you away from your friends. Yeah, well, I knew that already. But also so we could try and connect a bit. Sappy. I know it's been hard since your mum passed away. And it's been rough on me too. When she died, it's like she took my voice away as well as my heart. She was the one who knew the right things to say, but now... I feel like there's a giant hole where she once stood. I don't know what she'd say right now, but I think she'd be worried about you going to parties and drinking. I think she'd want you to have a good time, but to do it wisely. I feel like any time I tell you this kind of stuff, it comes out wrong or backwards or something. Sorry, sweetheart. I wish he was here more than anything in the world. Me too, Dad. Me too.
I've been real down in my life. There have been times when I didn't want to go on, but I held on to my elders' words because they were the ones who gave me the knowledge of Wiradjuri ways. They gave me wisdom, and that gave me worth. See, we aren't just some culture waiting to be cancelled out. We are here. We are proud. But I'm also living in a modern world, in a city. Doesn't change who I am though, eh? Runs in my blood. You know, a Kuru sis said to me one time that you can't be what you can't see. And that summed it up for me, I reckon, because I knew right there in that moment that I needed to be present. I needed to teach all these young ones what community life is all about, just like my elders had shown me. I want to live what culture means to us so that it stays alive with us all. That's why I wanted to make this video with you fellas.
War. It's a bloody, terrible thing. You feel you're doing right by your nation, serving your country to defeat the enemy. But what happens when you start to see the prisoners of that enemy as ordinary men doing everyday things? Like they'd be in the camp and they'd just be cooking or chatting. I'd watch them through those fences. That's all that really separated us. You know, they'd be playing baseball, or they'd be walking around the compound just having a smoke. And it'd just hit you. That's a person in that maroon uniform. That's a bloody person. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's brother. What are you supposed to do with those feelings, eh? Anyone who's ever been in a war knows it. That's a huge part of the battle, right up here. Now, we must keep these days sacred. I know I said ANZAC Day's hard, but we have to keep talking about it. Why? So we don't forget. We can't ever forget the past.
Okay, I'll admit, I actually really enjoyed visiting the Japanese gardens. That place is beautiful, so peaceful, especially considering the stuff that went on there. Dad took me down to the POW camp this morning and explained what had led to the breakout. He said that some Japanese non-commissioned officers, I think he called them, were going to be moved hours away to Hay Camp, which is another POW camp. Some of the Japanese soldiers had heard about this and they didn't want to be separated. A plan was proposed and voted on by the Japanese inmates. Because they'd been taught that surrender was humiliating to their families and to the emperor, they felt like they had nothing to lose by attempting a breakout, even if it meant that they might die trying. On the night of the breakout, a bugle was sounded, which signalled it was time for enacting their plan. Some of the Japanese soldiers draped their blankets over the wires to climb up and shield their bodies from the barbed wire. I mean, that's brave. I couldn't have done that, and I get it now. They did it because they felt the shame of capture. They'd already lost so much. Their freedom, their identity, and their connections to their family and country.
The night the Japanese broke out was like any other night. So we were completely caught off guard. I mean, no one ever thought this had happened. Certainly not in the Cowra camp. I mean, half of our soldiers, they'd never even fired a bullet in combat. And yet here we were. We had over 1,000 Japanese soldiers running at the fences. They were trying to escape. Imagine this. It's 2 a.m. A bugle sounds. All of a sudden, it was mayhem. There was machine guns going off. I'm trying to make my way in the camp, through the camp in the dark, because the floodlights were out. We had alarm shots, bullets hitting tin, huts on fire, the smell of smoke starting to fill the lungs. We had Japanese shouting, soldiers yelling. There was fences shaking, boots trampling on the ground, sirens, bodies dropping like flies on soil. It was a full moon. Flares lit up the sky. So during all this bloody chaos, my job, I had to go out to Erambie. That's the Aboriginal Mission on the other side of town, and get one of the linesmen who lived out there to come back and put the bloody power back on.
The night they broke out, it was cold. Pop said they called home and told him that the Japanese had just broken out. They had a blackout out there. And they asked him if he'd come put the power back on. He said, all right, I'll go. And when he got there, there was shooting going on everywhere. One of the machine guns shot down a high tension wire, blacked out the whole area. But it was the brightest moonlit night. It was as bright as day. Anyway, when he got there, they made him put on an army jacket because they said, we might shoot him. So he couldn't get around till daylight to see what the trouble was. There was burning. The Japanese had burned a lot of their huts down, run wires down. It was a battlefield. And Pop said,
We took it all in. We were in disbelief. It lasted 3 and a bit hours, then silence. There were bodies everywhere. Some wounded were taken to the hospital, and some were treated right in front of me.
it was surreal.
Even now, it's still all very clear. After the breakout, we buried our dead. We rounded up the escaped Japanese, and we collected all the dead ones, and we buried them as well. Their bodies, they were treated with respect. Later, after the war, I heard from some of my mates down at the Return Services League. Now, that's the RSL, as we call it. They come across those graves, and there was weeds growing out of them. Now, you can't have that. That ain't proper. I don't care whose side you're on. It ain't proper to leave graves like that. So some of us, we started looking after the graves, you know, cleaning them up. They were soldiers buried underneath that soil after all.
My pop, he fought as an Australian soldier. He signed up, even though he was a black fella through and through. You know what happened when he come home? Nothing. Nothing changed. Didn't get no war medals, no war pension, no nothing. But I'm not saying you're to blame, just saying we can do better now, can't we?
Struth. That must have been awful for him. Well, for all the Aboriginal soldiers. They fought side by side with us. Should have been shown the same respect we were when we came home.
And that's the thing. We can't pretend like all this didn't happen. Doesn't make it wrong if we talk about it.
100%. And that's why it's so important to remember ANZAC Day too. But to be treated like they never even went away and served, I can't imagine what that was like. It was hard enough for me, and I had mates. I just never let on to any of them how I was really feeling. You know, my mum used to be frightened of Aborigines. Just fear, lack of understanding. I see that now. It's the same how I saw those Japanese, I guess. You see, after the war, I was a bloody mess. So much death. So much pain. For what? For nothing. I just had enough. I remember clear as anything, just wanting to end it all. So I'd been away from home for so long. Everyone just expected I'd be missing the wife. I did too. They thought I'd be happy when I got home. But I wasn't. I knew I should have been happy. But I just wasn't. I was so numb inside. I looked up to the sky. I prayed, God, please, let me love my wife again. There was nothing inside me anymore. I couldn't feel a thing. We tried to make the marriage work. Hell, done a job. I raised my family. I did what I could. but it was never going to last. Many years later, when my daughter grew up, I took her for a trip to Japan. Honestly, the best thing I ever did. You see, I learnt more about why the Japanese behaved they did that night, why they tried to escape. You see, it was all about honour and shame. Now, I can understand that, see, because that's the two most important things to any man, especially any soldier. All I ever wanted to be was that courageous man they all told me I was. I think that's all they ever wanted to, those Japanese soldiers. Yeah, that trip I did helped me understand the whole thing better. Helped me understand myself better as well. So, eventually, all the Japanese, not just the POWs, not just the soldiers, civilians as well, the Japanese that died in Australia in World War II were laid to rest right here in Cowra. And you'll see plenty of cherry blossoms planted here as well. Did you know that members of the Imperial family of Japan have visited Cowra?
Wait, really? I didn't know that.
My word. And eventually, in time, the Japanese garden was set up, and the Japanese Culture Centre too. There's actually even an exchange program set up. They call it the Seikei Exchange. The idea being that one kid goes from Cowra over to Japan into Seikei, and then another kid comes from there over here. Started way back in 1970. And would you believe it's still going strong? Top stuff if you ask me. I'm telling you. Cowra can show the world a thing or two about peace.
Wait, Dad said there was some kind of special peace spell here too?
That's right. Australia's World Peace Bell is right here in Cowra. Now, it's made from coins. 65 countries, the United Nations, donated coins. Now there's over 100 countries donate coins and medals to use in peace efforts. On World Peace Day, every year...
Wait, when's that, sorry?
That's the third Tuesday in September every year. I remember that because it's just after my birthday and our school used to go to that.
That's right, on World Peace Day every year, they ring the bell right here in Cowra. You see what I'm saying? We can all learn a thing or two about how peace is remembered here in Cowra.
Far out. I can't believe I didn't know any of this.
I didn't know some of this stuff either. Never too late to learn our history, eh?
I have to go get ready for the ANZAC Day March. They're doing some kind of special ceremony down at the park, I think Dad said. I'd really like to go and pay my respects.
I'll see you down there. Promise I'd ring the mission bell today.
Good on you too. Please, keep the stories alive for all of us.
No marriages rule.
The bell sings.
We live under the sun.
The bell lets us know the time has come.
time has come.
We're going back to Sydney tonight. I honestly thought coming to Cowra was going to be boring and a waste of time, but I've actually learnt a lot while being here. And I get it now. I get that real people here making big sacrifices. They were away from their families, and on both the Australian and the Japanese sides, they were both just really wanting to be respected, both caught up in a war that was out of their hands. And at the very same time, there were Aboriginal people living in similar situations to the Japanese soldiers, just on the other side of town. There's really no point to hatred, but I see how putting all that aside can lead to peaceful actions. There's so much freedom in that. I'm so glad there's no more war here, no more rations or curfews. I really hope that we can learn from the mistakes that we've made in the past, so we can move forward with peace in the future. That's what I'm going to write about Cowra in my journal assignment anyway.
Came here to Cowra. It turned out to be a place of power, where my once enemies I learned to see as friends, because hatred paid no dividends. And if you take just one thing away from this, know that we're still here and we're not less. Life's too short, don't live full of regret. Let's begin. Send away the shame, let the lesson stay. We're gonna rise up, now play the blame game. It's a new day, we're gonna do it our way. We're gonna rise up, let the Cowra memories stay. Let the Cowra memories stay. Fight for life, fight to win, fight for nation's pride. Fight for you, fight for me, fight for your side. Fight for country, fight for us, fight to turn the tide. Fight for grace, fight for peace, fight hardy. Fight for life, fight to win, fight for nation's pride. Fight for you, fight for me, fight for your side. Fight for country, fight for us, fight to turn the tide. Fight for grace, fight for peace, fight or hide. No more this, start today. Change your mindset, change your ways. No more shame, no more silence, no more hatred, no more violence. No more this, start from today. Change your mindset, change your ways. No more shame, no more silence, no more hatred, no more violence. No more this, start from today. Change your mindset, change your ways. No more shame, no more silence, no more hatred, no more violence. No more this,